Here we are once again, having a talk about Over the Garden Wall. It's one of those things where I have to actively remind myself that it wasn't released just last year. It kind of feels that way. Definitely wasn't. It has been a good while at this point, and I think that the show's persistent popularity just carries more and more weight as time goes on. The show's audience seemingly has connected with both the surface level components of the show as well as the beefy underbelly of the messaging, the symbolism, and intertextuality. And in my view, the popularity has been at least partially boosted by the limited series format. It's so brief, all in all. It's basically a made-for-TV movie, and its story wraps up so neatly that you don't immediately feel the need for a continuation. And that's just not how most TV shows operate. They really can't resolve completely. They pretty much always need to leave room for more space for things that you want to happen, or much worse, space for awkward celebrity cameos or crossover episodes. Over the Garden Wall quit while it was ahead, which has left us all in this state of relative infatuation, I would say. Comparing Over the Garden Wall to a show that lasts for like 30 years, like The Simpsons, Garden Wall is more like the first month of a relationship. You're getting along great, everything you learn about each other sounds like good news, and you just feel this buzz knowing that somebody actually wants to be around you. On the other hand, The Simpsons is a lifelong marriage with myriad opportunities for both greater joy and deeper disappointment. Rewatching Over the Garden Wall is kind of like repeating the same date over and over again. Just like that one episode of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. It's really good. And every time, it's just as pure. It's just as full of potential. If there was more show, there would also be a risk of blurring the tone. But the tone never got blurred at all because of this limited format. The tone is crystal clear for the entire duration. It just kind of fluctuates from episode to episode. So along with a lot of other people, I tend to think of Over the Garden Wall as a cozy show. Like if I was putting it in an informal category, it goes in cozy media for sure. For good reason, I think. It has all those lovely environments and the cutesy songs, of course. But at the same time, it is also very much a show about discomfort and fear. There's definitely an uneasiness that tracks along with the series up until the final resolution. And that uneasiness rubs up right against those cozy, cutesy vibes. While that's not like a brand new combination, here it works really well without feeling like it's trying too hard. And my favorite episode of Over the Garden Wall is one where that uneasy feeling and genuine worry really starts to make itself more prominent. And if you want to take a guess, now's your chance. Go right ahead. There's not that many episodes, so I feel like you have a decent chance of getting it right. It's Babes in the Wood! If you're having trouble remembering which one that is, it's the episode where Greg and Wirt fall asleep next to a tree, and Greg dreams about an insane Looney Tunes community in the sky. Yeah, we have some things to talk about. This is a very easy episode to like. Everything in Cloud City is delightful, and we'll get to all that stuff. But all of the happy-go-lucky material is colored heavily by the seriousness of the episode as a whole and this particular moment in the story. Spoilers, I guess. I feel compelled to say that, even if no one really cares. I think we've all watched it, but anyway, spoilers. They've just been betrayed by their so-called friend Beatrice, and the boys are just completely lost at this point. Wirt has finally given up. He doesn't have any ideas, he doesn't have any motivation, and that resignation is contrasted by Greg, his character foil, who has this great moment right at the start of the episode where he's calling home over and over again like it's a lost dog or something.
Home! Home!
The reality of this episode is that two homeless children are trying not to freeze to death somewhere in a fairy tale forest. And oh yeah, there's also this evil entity thing just waiting to seize upon Wirt's hopelessness. That's not exactly a light and breezy story, and sure, As viewers, we can, separate and just say, well, it's just a silly kid show. It's all going to turn out fine. And it does. But if you're like me, you always see room for analysis. And Over the Garden Wall is extremely ripe for allegory and interpretation. And in that light, the content of the episode just gets even more heavy. The image of the Edelwood growing around the hopeless and turning them into fodder for some malevolent force is definitely an evocative one, to say the least. And I'm tempted to mark it as an illustration or an allegory for depression. But we don't necessarily need to take it that far. Even just in the course of mundane life activities, you have those kinds of moments where you've lost the thread, and despite the importance of overcoming the problem, whatever it is, you're just stuck. Maybe it's a problem of motivation, maybe you lack the resources to do something, maybe you're in like a bad living situation or a bad relationship. Just the weight of waking up in the morning flattens any kind of desire to do whatever you need to do. And of course, Wirt's apathy is directly tied to Beatrice's betrayal. It's a reminder that the two brothers are completely on their own. They're isolated, and Wirt himself is even further isolated because he seems to be the only one actually trying to get home. Greg isn't exactly equipped to offer a lot of practical help. He's pure of heart, we could say, which definitely comes in handy at the end of this episode. But in general, I think that I relate more to Wirt's perspective here. But let's take a break from the heavy stuff and talk about Cloud City. Over the Garden Wall definitely isn't subtle about being heavily influenced by early 20th century American media. The backgrounds, the music, and the dialogue are the biggest signposts to those influences, but a lot of the show doesn't actually feel like a throwback. Specifically, character designs and character animation, as well as, all of Wirt's character, basically, feel contemporary. These elements aren't really designed to look like old, rubber hose animation from the 30s, and the show definitely isn't animated like one, except for a few moments here and there. But Cloud City is a different story. This part is all about indulging in nostalgia and references. In this segment of the episode, every single element points to the past. Notably, the music sounds like silent film music, and visually, it's obviously made to look much older than the rest of the show, and the character designs are very much of like the golden age of animation. And of course we get the song where multiple groups of characters sing little like welcoming ditties referencing Munchkinland in The Wizard of Oz. And then we also have the Old North Wind song, and it's just wonderful. In particular, I love the little turn that the North Winds do when they're on their way in. I don't know, that just really does feel like something that you would see in an old cartoon. So the Cloud City segment is fun and it's funny, but some key edits remind us of the reality of Wirt and Greg's situation. And obviously the episode ends on a dark note as well. Greg has basically sold his soul so that Wirt can be freed from his own hopelessness. We might even consider this the low point of the entire show, but it's definitely an important moment. And in keeping with the show's unique tone, the team still found ways to make this fun to watch, in spite of how serious the stakes are. There are definitely happier episodes and funnier episodes, and definitely more satisfying episodes too, but this is the one that makes me sit up straight and pay attention every single time. So there it is, my favorite episode of Over the Garden Wall, and I not so secretly hope that the property will never be revived in really any way at all. Just let this one lie. Please. We don't need any more. I hope you're doing okay. Make sure to do some stretches, listen to some music, take care, and thanks for stopping by.